Hmm. Hey. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. We are going to get started in just 1 second. Going to allow some time for attendees to join us this evening. If you'd like to leave your name, where you're from, what type of business you're in, we'd love to hear you. We'll get started in just 1 second. All righty. So just in the interest of everyone's time, if you want to be respectful of everyone's time, we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got some attendees joining us now. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to our AI Power Hour webinar. I'm Joseph Cordova, Program Manager with the Sacramento Valley SBDC, and I'll be your host for this session. So just a couple of housekeeping notes. This session is being recorded. You're going to receive a copy of the recording and any handouts that we mentioned throughout the training. So you're going to receive those in a follow-up email. Also, please utilize that Q&A box, the chat box. We're going to make sure we monitor for any questions that come through, and we're going to have some time at the end to answer some questions. So with that, I'm going to tell folks, if we have some new folks with us this week, a little bit about the SBDC. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. It's taking a second here. Kathy, can you hear me still?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like it's having a bit of a delay. So I might have to, folks, send the intro slides through chat and through the follow-up email because there seems to be an issue with sharing the screen and it's causing the Zoom program to not respond. So I want to make sure I get that to you. So you will receive a copy, but I also want to make sure we don't lose connection in the webinar. So Kathy, would you like to go ahead and take over and kind of go ahead and into your intro?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Great to
All right.
see you, or not, well, see what I can of you. Today is creating stunning images with AI. So this is our session 8. We have 10 total sessions. So this is 8. And what this is today is we're going to talk about creating professional looking images for your business using various AI tools. And we're going to about 50 minutes with 10 minutes Q&A. And I just again want to thanks to Sacramento Valley SPDC for making this possible and sign up for help with your AI or for other services. And please put questions in the chat and Joseph will be watching those and that will help a lot. I usually got multiple screens going on, so putting your questions in really helps. Okay, so this session, like I said, is images, and the next session is going to be on video. So these sessions, these next two are really about creating visual interest, which is so important. So I did something that I don't normally do, and I am going to share it with you right now. This, though I have a lot of different things ready for this session, one thing I did that just out of fun to get us started is I don't normally like to use presentations because I think you need to just know how to use stuff and presentations take away from that. But nonetheless, I did a really quick, this is in Canva, and I just wanted to show you what's possible because we're talking about visuals. We're talking about imagery today, but this is something I did. I put this really quick prompt into Canva and I said, create a short presentation on the importance of high quality visuals, images, graphics, video, and marketing using plenty of statistics, because I know there's a lot of good statistics out there. And it gave me a few different options here. So you can see some different ones. Everybody's seeing that, right?
Yeah, we're able to
Hopefully
see that,
everybody,
Kathy.
great.
Hmm.
So I'm going to click on one of these because this is how I want to start us off, is just to show you how important visuals really are. So, all right. I don't normally, like I said, do this. So I actually have to think about how to get this, use the Canva editor. There we go. So just to get us started properly, this isn't my name or anything because it didn't know that. Let me just get rid of my darn cookies lock up thing there, and it's still coming up. Uh, don't know why. Manage cookies, save and close. There we go. So I'm going to present this. presenter view. And again, this is just purely in Canva. What's to manage your windows and all your displays. Let's see, block. Try again. Okay, there we go. Maybe I needed to do that. Sorry, 1 second. Let's try that again. Got it. Okay. I'm just going to go with it as it is. I just want to talk about the role, so what role of quality. High quality visuals are essential in marketing, super, super important. And the point is that they grab attention, build brand recognition, increase engagement, meaning deeper interaction, and they can give you a competitive advantage, especially when you have a very specific purpose with them. So here's the things I wanted to share with you, which is 94% of engagement increase with relevant visual content. It makes a massive difference for people interacting with what you do. And so visual impact, video marketing, images, which is what we're talking about today. Obviously, images also go to social media, connected with brand recognition. And high quality visuals significantly enhance audience engagement, 80%. It is huge, the number. I probably have different numbers that I came up with before this. Like I said, I used AI to create this. But my point is that it's really massive. And this is a really fun tool to play around with if you have not done this before. Again, this is just the template. The thing I was looking for it to pull up were these really important stats for you. Massively huge. Okay. So the point is it's very big. The numbers I have are high quality visual contents can amplify your website traffic. That's one of the stats I have, up to 400%. So you don't do something good with your visuals online and it really suffers. So it's the competitive landscape, working with images, working with video. So you can tell why this is such an important workshop for us to work with right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and close that. So today we're going to talk about some of the tools for creating images. And let me just pull up the handout that you're going to get today. So I'm going to cover some really simple stuff, big image creator. I'm still going to mention Canva, even though we covered Canva last week. I decided just to show you some, again, to make sure to keep that in the mix because it is so important. That's why I just demoed that really quick PowerPoint or presentation, because I did that with just a prompt and then I could customize it and everything, which is pretty amazing. I'm going to do, again, a Microsoft Designer, which again is another really quick thing. Google Gemini, which has made major leaps forward with Nano Banana, if you've heard that, and Adobe Firefly. So I'll come back to this part in just a minute. Let's right now just go ahead and jump in one of these. Today I'm going to be demoing two different businesses. I'm going to do a business, I'm going to do a service one, and I'm going to do a product one. So I'm just going to jump out of here. So I'm in my regular images. If I'm in Microsoft Bing, which uses DALL-E, by the way, although they are now also working on their own in-house mode. So it'll be interesting what comes out of this. So this is Microsoft. So all I did was come over here again, whoops, go back to Bing. I'm under Bing and I click on images. And here's where I get my prompt and I can put in whatever I want in there. And I'm going to my start off point is just to show you a little bit about how you start. It's not just about the tools, it's how about to start creating good images. So I'm just going to say an image of a garden center with colorful flowers and plants. May not even really need to do that because it already is clicked on images, but let's see what it comes up with. So this is coming up with, looks like this is already what it has, premium photos. And then I can hit on create. So there's images and then there's create. And I'm going to go ahead and create one. So with Bing, we've got an image library and we've got the create. So I want to create right now. And you can see I have my aspect ratio. So depending where I want it to fit, I can even choose what model I'm using. Let's do DALL-E 3. So that's what I'm going to prefer to use in this. And you can also see that they've got images and video. In the meantime, I'm going to jump between two examples because it takes a little while to create examples. So one of my ways of dealing with this for you, just close these older ones. Hold on 1 second. Got too many things open here. Oh, there it goes. It already went, right? So we've got our first one, which was of an image of a garden center with colorful plants. And in this one, in the meantime, again, this is just one I happened to create earlier. I'm under create, under images, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to leave this one GPT-4o, and I'm going to create an image of a friendly bookkeeper. So this business is going to be Bright River Bookkeeping. This one here is Gerda's Garden Center, and I'm trying to create some images that I can use for Gerda's or for Bright River Bookkeeping. So I'm just going to hit click. The reason why I'm actually starting off here, and again, let me close some of these, too much open here. Don't need to see all of these, is because this is a very general prompt and it was too general. I put an image of a garden center with colorful colorful flowers and plants. And our goals today are two. It's one, to get familiar with some great tools, but it's also going to be really helpful for knowing how to prompt things. So I could edit the prompt, and let's just go ahead and edit the prompt. And I'm going to put an illustration. I really don't want just, last I said an image. An image is very general. So I'm going to say an illustration is really what I want. And of an outdoor garden center filled with colorful potted plants, lush green plants, colorful flowers and lush green plants, a large wooden summer sale sign in the foreground, and warm sunny lighting, cheerful mood. Notice the difference of how much more I am adding there. And let's go ahead and do the same for the bookkeeping business. Let's see what I got first. It's very general, right? It comes up with something. It's generative AI. It will always come up with something. Does it come up with what you want it to do? Happily, it came up with a realistic one, but I put realistic image of a friendly bookkeeper helping a small business owner with finances. This was really what I wanted. So I'm going to hit recreate on this and we're going to see what we get. Now you can see how we started getting something more. And remember, I changed this. I told it what I wanted to. I said an illustration. So now I got something more. I wanted something really super friendly here. And this is where I could kind of go even one step further. And let me just show you how I can change this prompt in here. A bright watercolor illustration. So what kind of illustration? Of an outdoor garden center pathway lined with colorful blooming flowers and terracotta pots, lush green hanging plants, and decorative garden tools. A large rustic wooden sign reading summer sale 30% off is prominently displayed in the foreground. Warm golden sunlight, cheerful and inviting atmosphere shot from eye level perspective. This is a lot more information. If anything, it might be bordering on getting a bit much, but I'm trying to show you how you can really start getting what you want besides the tools we're going to use. And there we go. I got something working. I got something much better here. Now I got something closer to what I want. But I'm going to ramp this one up a little bit more too. A realistic photo of a friendly bookkeeper helping an ethnic small business owner with finances. On the bookkeeper's desk or a laptop. This one does have a laptop and calculator, happily. A coffee mug representing small business accounting. There is a sunlit office with indoor plants, calm and productive mood, eye level view. So sometimes, as you can see, I already pretty much get what I want, but if you don't, you start playing around with it more, right? And so here I got some other things. There's my terracotta pots there along the way. And, you start getting very much more. So my point is with this, what I'm trying to impart with you on this is this, you get this with the handout, these 7 points to how you're going to write a good image prompt. You be clear about the subject. So I gave you an idea of what I'm trying to say, not just a woman or a person, but who is the subject? What is the outcome? What is the specific style you want? Is, it a photo, illustration, watercolor, vector, 3D render, you name it, it can do it. Add a setting or a background. What do you want in the background? So garden, at a coffee shop, on a wooden desk. Use adjectives and detail in the mood. So in a sunny garden, in a smoky coffee shop, on a worn, wet wooden desk, things that will help it. Mention the perspective or angle if desired. Where do you want the view from? I've done some really lovely overhead views, close up, wide angles, eye level. And, and yet, in spite of this, I'm also going to tell you to stick to short focus sentences. Try to keep it as direct as possible. So I'm telling you to put all of this in, but be as concise as possible. And also don't try to avoid conflicting information. This will really mess things up. If I say sunny but dark, what does that mean? That's conflicting. Optional is to include color or color schemes if desirable, such as a boutique shop with rosy pink hues. The point of all this too is to think about how do you keep images in line with your brand, and use your own real photos whenever possible to keep authenticity. And I'm going to talk a little bit later about using some of your own photos as well. Okay, let's go back to this and see how we're doing here. There we go. Now I really got what I want over here. And I can look at that and I can go ahead and simply download straight away, right? So I've got plenty of other content coming up from I can recreate, and there's going to be my download. Okay, so again, I want you to think about how you're going to move your ability to get a good prompt to something more advanced, because that is half of it. If you can get, a much more detailed prompt, still direct, you're going to get the results. Hopefully everybody saw how these images evolved, to get what I wanted to get from them. All right, mentioned I would show you Canva again, because it's hard for me not to do Canva. And interestingly enough, right now, like I said, Bing, if you notice with the create in images, gave me, so DALL-E is there as well. And Canva also is using DALL-E, very interestingly enough. So it also integrates it. But Canva, as I mentioned last week, also, let me just try to keep shunning this. Canva, as I mentioned last week, is really focused on marketing materials, which is why I love it so much. So the way you start with creating images here, like I said, I covered some of this, so we're just going to keep it really nice and short. But I'm going to go ahead and start as if I'm doing a presentation, and I'm going to click on Magic Media. And I'm going to keep with my two examples throughout. So I'm going to keep with Gerda's Garden Center here. And I'm going to do a bright photo of hanging flower baskets on display in front of a small storefront, wooden signage, and green plants around eye level view. And I'm just going to generate. So I'm not trying to keep them as long as I did the last one, only because of time. But the point is going to be there. And I got some really lovely stuff here. Now, this is very normal, where some of the words are really hard to improve, and there's little things you can do to clean up those. Let's actually not use one without words altogether. Let's just do this. There we go. So I can do an image that I got there. And, so this can be where I start from. And if you remembers from my, over here, edit, that I can also do a magic expand. So if I want to make this a bit bigger, let's say I wanted it to cover up the whole, this might be a bit large. Let's just keep it to there. And hit expand. If I do things too much too, it takes longer. So it's always some incentive in keeping things simple for now. So this is not a bad way of, right, starting up what I want to create, and then I can maybe use the side for text. And in the meantime, I'm also going to go ahead and I'm going to go back to here. And as a reminder, you can also just from Canva AI, I can just click image and I can tell it exactly what I want. I'm going to leave it on the same. There's some settings that I could choose. Let's see, this was a flat vector image of a young couple looking at the computer screen. So I have enough information in here. I don't need to tell it what it is from there. But I can also create this even before I create the specific thing here. I chose my presentation and then I put an image on it. And over here, I just told it images. And this could be helpful if I want to use something else. You know, a flat image of a couple screen with their accounting information, they look dismayed, right? They look pretty dismayed there. So again, I could be more specific and deal with things there. But don't forget, you know, Canva is a great place to start. And moreover, whenever you're doing something, you've got some absolutely wonderful options, especially with the paid version, where you can create elements and start adding images from their stock library. So if I just wanted to add planter box, there's going to be plenty of options. There's videos, and I can choose photos right there, and I would have plenty of options too. So don't forget their stock images are pretty good. So, okay, so we just covered Microsoft Bing as a really quick, simple one that uses Dolly. And we covered, whoops, I don't know what happened to that one. And we covered Canva as a good option for some of these things too. All right, and third one I want to show you, and this is again, this is a more simple one. This is a really easy one by Microsoft. And this one, you can do something similar. You can start with images. You can start with a very specific thing. You can see that they're kind of almost trying to emulate Canva. That's the way I think of them. But I would say they're, you know, I don't use them regularly, but it's really nice for one-off just to try some things. And they have, this is one thing I really like about Microsoft is that sometimes if you feel like you just don't know what you want and you're looking for inspiration, you could do something like this, where you can click on a macro detailed image of I'm going to say a koala and a eucalypt tree on I don't know, on a bird's nest. And let's just say the koala has its party hat on the, I don't know, head. I don't know what it is. And it is, let's keep it that, looking up with bright smile and an out of focus background. Okay, I'm just gonna do that. It's, you know, it's smart enough to make sense out of it. And you can see images that I did below here, just fun things using some of the prompts. This is why I like it. See, look at the little hand sewn things, some of the really fun things that I've done. So sometimes just when you want a little, there we go. I got some really kind of fun things. So sometimes when you're just looking and you don't know where to start, this is a fun little tool that's really easy to use. It's free. So you can just get started with that. And then the other thing you can do, let's go back to Gerda's and just say, I want to create a banner. And this, I'm going to say, I've got one right here, describe my banner. I'm going to say a banner with a cheerful illustration of gardening planters. Let's say terracotta, gardening tools, springtime setting, soft color palette. And I'm going to go ahead and create there. And in the meantime, I'm also going to go back to this one. and I'm going to do something different. Again, I'm just going to start with an image because it's one other thing it's important to know. Sometimes you can just start with an image. Sometimes you might want to start with the actual thing that you're building. And I'm just going to go ahead and, in spite of the fact that I can do this, which I showed you with the koala bear, right? You know, it gives me a lot of ideas. The other option is simply going in here and clicking on describe your image and put this in here. So I'm going to put a photo style image of a business owner celebrating at desk. I don't know what it is. As I say, but business at desk with a calculator and receipt pile, bright lighting, modern office background, close up. And I could say, let's say of a female, I can't spell, female business owner. There we go. And there we go, are my banners. So I've got some ones that came up a bit odd. But you know, I didn't get my terracotta. But I still got some really lovely things, but I've got this weird words, and it's because it's a banner. Let's say um, words, Goethe's Garden Center. And try that again and see if I can get more close to what I want, you know. And there we go. Here's my images used there. And I might say I like this. This one looks a little bit unrealistic, right? You know, so, but I did say soft light. So you know, this is the process of figuring out exactly what you like. And let's go back to this other one and see how, there we go. Now I got, because it wanted to, since it's a banner, it knows it should have text. So it was creating text. So one thing to realize always when you're using generative AI is that it's designed to generate. It wants to create. In the absence of information, it will create something, whether it's right or not. And that's why you get hallucinations and things like that. Creating information that isn't real, because it's going to try to create stuff. And if you notice on this one, we've got a little bit of a funkiness here with the tools, right? The tools are connected. Um, this one looks pretty good overall, right? You know, it's a bit weird. I've got tools coming out of one of the pots. And this one is a home. This one is a really nice, simple graphic. So there's a process of just going back and figuring things out. Okay, for the fourth tool, I'm going to show you Google Gemini next. And let me see where I have that. I have that on a different place. Let's go to, so I've got a few things here to show you. All right, and so you can see there under Gemini, you can create an image and you can see the little icon there of Nano Banana. This is really designed, this is a major leap forward for those of you who have heard that, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. But first, I'm just going to give it a simple prompt because I'm still sticking with all of our examples here. So we'll do a watercolor style image of a greenhouse filled with colorful hanging plants and labeled herb shelves, sunny morning light, top-down angle. And let's go ahead and give that a start. And then I'm going to do another one over here because I have a few things to show you under this one. I don't want to destroy those. Let's see how it's doing over there. It's still going. In the meantime, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go back to my Bright River bookkeeping. And I'm going to give it a 3D render of an accountant presenting a pie chart to a couple standing in a modern office space, warm lighting, confident atmosphere. And let's see how it does. You know, by trying different things, you'll also find the stuff that you like. Okay, that's something very different there. Maybe not exactly what I meant, but it's certainly interesting and has some beauty to it. There, it did manage, it also did give me my herbs all lined up. But, you know, it's a lot of times, you know, is it my fault? Because I said greenhouse filled with colorful hanging plants, and this is a greenhouse. So that's where it might be on me to do other stuff. And if you remember here, I did a 3D render. So, okay, so we've got something like this. Really kind of amazing, isn't it? for what it can create. Like I said, this is a big leap forward. And I wanted to bring up Nano Banana very specifically because this one thing that this has done that is so important is that it can create consistent characters or mascots that stay the same across different poses, different scenes. And that way you can start building your branded visual identity. So you can combine images to create powerful scenes. So to show how important this is, because if you're wondering like, what in the world is she talking about? I'm going to show you a file that I've been working on, and I actually worked on this in Photoshop. And I'll show you first. Let's see. This is where I have. No, that's not there. One moment. Let me see where I've got it there for you. Here it is. By the way, that thing I shared, this is North Bay AI for Small Business Day. It's November 5th, 9 to 4:30. If you are there, you'll see this as a presentation. I'm not talking about illustrations. This is completely to do something else, but I created the images for this. And so like I said, I won't share the details. You'll be in for a surprise when I talk about it. But I'm introducing this character, Bob. And I jump from this to this, to this, to this, to this, right? I think I've got one more over there. Yep, Bob's got some friends too. So same character. Now, I did not create this in Nano Banana. I created this in Photoshop, which I'm not demoing today. And I want to show why. I love Photoshop, but it is a lot of work. And so when you are creating consistent characters, I can do this in Photoshop. So if somebody really wants to get very in depth, you can do this. But I've created a different level. I've, highlighted the things I want to change, and then I work with it. And it's a lot more work. So you'll see kind of Bob evolving here. And I've been working with Photoshop since the 90s. Missing my tassel there. So I had to add the tassel. Smile, other people, improve upgraded coffees, and that kind of thing. So that's what it would take. And this took me a lot more extra time to do this. I have a lot of control in the Adobe suite. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but it is for most business owners, it's too much. So your other option is doing things like this, which is, again, Google Gemini using Nano Banana. And so I tried creating a robot, for example, and I gave it this information, and then I tell it to change some things. The robot's the same. For those of you who have used AI and you're trying to create the same character and it keeps darn changing, this one tends to do the same. Now I said here, completely change it, make it more sleek, human-like. So it did, right? It still gave me the same background, but I'm changing the time. And I said, give me more. So it gave me more. And I said, let's go back to the original one and make it even a little bit more garage built. So it gave me a garage in the back and a little bit more visible wear and even more rusted. And then I try to get some things that were in between because I felt like it was jumping too much. So it gave me this one as in between, and then I went back a little bit further, and I could keep doing this. So you could see though where at least having the consistency is a major leap forward. So that's why I bring up Nano Banana Gemini as a great tool. All right, and Nano Banana, Gemini, let's just say Gemini, because it's really their functionality in there. So just Gemini, their imagery, has some amazing functionality. I uploaded an image of myself. This one didn't turn out too well. I said, make me the Mona Lisa, didn't work too well. Samurai Warrior was a bit funky. But then it did a Matador, and the Matador didn't come out too bad. That one didn't come out so great. These ones I was trying with the Olympics didn't come out that as well. But this one nailed it. I'm like, and darn, don't I look good in Western wear there. That looks just like me, with a dog, on a ranch. So I also tried some other things, playing around with Halloween outfit. Here I uploaded a photo of an actual place I've been to, and I said, put me in front of it and in Grecian garb, in traditional Grecian garb. So you can combine things with it. Um, that didn't come out, I think, so great. And hopefully some people know what this is. Yes, I'm watching Squid Game right now. So I said, put me in Squid Game. And, it's what it came up with. That not so great, not so great. No, I'm trying to make sure it's sticking to my images here. And, do the biker thing. Not so bad. Just have to get a little bit heavy makeup. And put me in France in front of the Eiffel Tower. And there we go. There I am in front of it. All AI generated. I even gave it my husband's photo right there, and I told him to put him in Santa Cruz as a skateboarder, and there we go. So this is really impressive what it can do, that you can combine things, that you can take actual photos and create things that don't exist. And this is the kind of mind-bending stuff, right, of all of the things that are going to be out there. Um, that you can do all sorts of things with. So, whew, big difference. And the thing is that I can now download all of these photos if I like this. I can take it, download. I can bring it in, to, if I want to be more specific, I can work on it in Photoshop. I can work on it in even in, do some playing around other places as well. But Gemini is super, super powerful for the generation of stuff that I can, do. And I can still keep saying, maybe I could say, I think I've got this same one down below. Hold on a second. To try another one. That one didn't turn out so well. I was trying to do the Louvre behind and see how that turned out, and it changed me. But anyways, hopefully that will, if you notice, I keep giving my photo because I want to try to make sure it's following it, and and it's just the exploration of how to make this work. All right. And then I've got one last one to show you, which is going to be Firefly. So hopefully everybody got the impressiveness out of that Gemini, because to me that really is a game changer. And I'm going to talk at the end one more thing that you can use that for as well. So let's go to Adobe Firefly, and this is free to use as well right now. I think Adobe is really trying to keep up because there's so much happening. The one thing that's interesting about Adobe Firefly is you can create an image, and you can see image, video, audio, vector art, which is great for things like logos. So wonderful different options, and you can see it down here again. So text to image, I put the prompt I want in, text to video, and I can create some great video. Generate with transparent backgrounds, sound effects, this is so worthwhile to explore. I believe it is free right now, or they have a limit on your day, but take advantage of it because it probably won't stay that way. So let's go again and do my usual, start with a text to image here, since we're all about images today. I'm just going to add a poster style graphic of a gardening workshop with a large join. Our workshop headlines, surrounded by potted plants and garden tools, retro art style. Oh, I said retro art, poster style. Hopefully that doesn't conflict too much. Let's see. Warm earth tones, because it can be retro post. It's fair because it's retro poster. I should have moved it to the front just but I'm going to leave it the way it is. And then you can choose what you want here. See, this is where I say graphic. So if I hit photo, that's conflicting. So I don't want to do that. I don't even need to tell it because it's in the graphic, but there are things here. There's some extra stuff here in Firefly that are really fun and that can give you some great styles to emulate, right? So I don't have to include all of this in the prompt if I don't want to. I could just include the details and then click on this, and it will actually get me more of what I want to have these examples a lot of time. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go ahead on that. Let's see what else could I have done in there. Again, there was my camera angle, right? So this is more poster art. So a lot of different things in there, and I left it on landscape, but again, this is going to guide you with a lot of the tools. And on this one, I'm going to do, because I'm going to show you different things. I'm going to do a minimalist vector illustration of a financial advisor with a laptop and charts, sitting at a clean white desk, blue and green palette, flat design, front view. And I could click it right from here. But again, once I click over here, which is text to image, it's opening up this other place. I still put my prompt in the same place. It just gives me these extra areas. So I like working with here instead, because now I can say what size do I really want. I'm just going to do a square size on this. Again, I have vector illustration, so it's vector art. I don't need to explain all of this. But maybe I do want to say something about, I have blue-green palette. So, I'm always thinking already about all these things. So I'm just going to leave it as it is and click generate. Okay, so going back to here, join our workshop, right? This or over here or our over here got a bit funky. I'm not sure how that one is, but some simple, decent options. And over here, vector art, right, with some nice financial advisor. Very nice and clean. Those all work really well. So I find, it's funny, I'm showing you some vector art and some poster style, but realistically, Firefly works great for some photos too. So I could just say a photo of a gardening workshop at the large, join our workshop, sign in back, surrounded by potted plants. We'll get rid of this. Let's get rid of that completely. Garden tools. Okay, and so now I've got a photo, and I it already knows it's a photo, but I'll just click that anyway. This is to look at different reference points so you can see how you want to show it, which can be really interesting to try that sometimes. I've played around with that just a little bit. It's hard to figure out how, when you have so many. Let's try just do lighting, and let's do, I'm going to do golden hour here. And let's go ahead and generate this one. But I do want to show you this because, like I said, Firefly, it's trained on all of the Adobe stuff, which is, they have some great images. So look at that. Look at the quality that created. Isn't that stunning? Yes, when it's trying to do the sign, it is messing that up all across the board, all of them. But we could also now click this and hit this, so generative fill, doing other things, generate similar other stuff. And I could very specifically say, get rid of the sign, because it says join our workshop, and that might be confusing it. It's having a, words sometimes can still be really challenging, but some beautiful, beautiful quality photos for that. All right, last things I want to show you. Last thing is going to be right here, which is that if you are dealing with products, oh, where's my product here? I must have hit something here, and I don't know what, because I don't normally use this. Yeah, see, I'm not using this. It's not a paid tool for me. Darn it. I hit something, or something went wrong. Anyways, this app is App Photo Room. There's some really great tools out there that are just for working with products. So what I was doing on this one, and I'm not sure if I can find where I have the original photo. I have an original photo, which is a pair of these saddle shoes. It's going to be really hard to see up in the AI background. And it's just on the saddle shoes on stone steps. And with this tool, for example, I isolated out the rest and I changed the background. So my point is that if you're dealing with products, you can do so much with these other products, these other tools I already said, but there are also very specific tools just for dealing with products. So not sure why it changed on me, but anyways, and it's going to tell me I have a limit because I had done this earlier just to show you, and I'm not, like I said, pay for the tool. But again, the other option would be, I think that with some of the tools you've got, especially Gemini, you can really start isolating things and say, give me a pair of, you can upload your pair of saddle shoes, is my point of this. If I can do this, if I can take myself and, again, if I can take myself and put my photo in and tell me to put in front of the Eiffel Tower, I can also grab a product in my store. So if I have a pair of saddle shoes and I could say, um, have me wearing these saddle shoes. Or I could say, put these saddle shoes on a shelf or in front of a cute, boutique store or something like that. So I can actually take a photo of that product and put it anywhere. And the amazing thing is right now that all of this with Gemini is free. So take advantage of it. Pretty amazing stuff. All right. So best practices, there's some like I said, you can get kind of amazed at all of this. So play around with these 5 tools. Um, depending what you're trying to build. Like I said, Firefly, great. I love some of the photo stuff I get here. Gemini, just so much fun with putting things together, pulling out things from it. Like I said, and especially creating a consistent character or mascot that you can use over and over again is really powerful. The only thing about all this is try to stay true to your brand in all of this. It's easy to get pulled and say, oh, shiny over here, and then it doesn't look anything like your brand. So, but and I expect these models will change. I don't expect everything to stay free all in the future. Canva is again one of the best values, $20 a month, and you can do the text to image like we showed, but there were also like last week, right? There's a background remover, Magic Grab to move things within an image. All sorts of different things that you can do with Canva. So this will be it for the images. You'll get this, and let me just pull up if I can find it. Well, let's not worry about it. This will be under the link that you'll receive, along with your mission for the week, which I believe I said was to just plan what kind of imagery you need. This is the biggest challenge. You can create all this great stuff. So the more important thing is to go back and say, what images do I need? And in this process, not forget that one of the most important things are the images that you have that are real. That's what creates authenticity. Though you can do some amazing stuff, right? I could put myself in front of the Eiffel Tower and um, having some real photos is your starting place. And I used a real photo and I just transformed it with that. So, all right. With that, let's go ahead and open up to questions.
Alrighty. Looks like we do have a question in the chat. I have an issue where I keep getting elements of former images showing up in my image. I tell GPT to remove it, and it will return the image with some elements. It kind of works its way getting there, and may eventually remove all elements, but kind of destroy the other good stuff.
Yeah. So first of all, 2 things. Make sure you're in a new prompt. Right? What might be happening is you might be in an existing prompt. So you go under ChatGPT. And if you notice, that happened with me because I didn't change my prompt. I was just trying to use the same photo and see what I could explore. I wasn't trying to change anything. Uh, but later on, when I asked for something, it still created something almost the same instead of something different, right? So when I asked for stuff, I was trying to create some other things. It still created similar stuff. The way I would deal with this is simply start a new chat. That's number one. Leave it behind, start a new thing. Now I have this and I can start with the image and go ahead and do that. Same thing with ChatGPT, just make sure you do that. If you have a long pervasive problem with that, make sure to check your memory and go back. That's my, what was it, my second workshop or third workshop I did on customizing, personalizing ChatGPT. Make sure what memories things are holding of you, because there might be something that it's holding that it needs to let go of, right? It's not, you don't want it to go across things. And also with ChatGPT specifically, just open up ChatGPT. So if I want to create something and I can create an image in this, and I did, if you notice, I didn't show ChatGPT for creating an image. I don't like it as much for images. I don't like getting a single image. I don't find I find that I gravitate towards those other tools I shared with you. And keep in mind, they're all using DALL-E as well. So Bing is using DALL-E as well. It gives you 4 nice images. So you don't have to do that. Oh, I'm not logged into this one. Hold on one second. It's because I'm in the wrong browser. There we go. So over here is that if you want it to be something like that you also don't want it to be confusing anything, you can always turn on your temporary chat. And this is true with images, with anything that you do. If you don't want it to affect the memory in any way, you could just turn that on. And I could still do the same thing. I can upload a photo. I can do stuff. It just doesn't have the power of what I just showed you with Gemini, though. That is amazing to be able to take stuff and to put it in there. I've seen where people are putting in, right, the actual picture of maybe a piece of clothing I want that I would have, and dressing in putting a picture of myself and say, have me wearing this. And now all of a sudden I can do my own little virtual try on of clothing. So some truly amazing stuff.
That's a good idea. I think I'm gonna use that one. It's always hard when you're online shopping. Like the hardest part is like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's gonna look on me.
Yeah, I find that the photos, so I was just over with friends, and it was celebrating a friend's anniversary. So I took a few pictures of them. This was just with my camera. And I did it with Gemini on my camera. And it did a pretty good job. But what happens is, like, the two of them were together like this. And so that's how it kept the photos.
Uh,
So when let's say you want to try something on, think about how you want it to be. Maybe get a clear background, and if you want to do a nice little fun pose like this, or if you just want a straight on pose and see, if you notice the photo I uploaded, it was just a simple face shot,
mhm,
wasn't even a body shot, it was just a real clear face shot to
mhm.
get, to see what I'm getting from it.
Very cool. Okay, it looks like we have one more question loaded up into Q&A. How does using AI to generate images for your business impact whether you can copyright the image? Are the images considered derivatives of other work? Does the AI provider have to release their piece of the image ownership?
You cannot copyright those images. However, in Adobe, you can. Adobe is a different ball game. So it's actually kind of good I showed you a little bit about Adobe, because it's trained in a different way. So that is possible to have that. The other thing that you can do is, let's say you come up with an image you like, and you do some severe work on it. There is, at what point is that? I don't know. It's a gray line. But when you significantly transform a something that you've got, and you've changed it to something else, so let's argue I created a logo, and I just am doing the image just to get an idea of what I want. And now I send that to an artist who creates it. That's copyrightable. Yeah. that's fine. So that's kind of the difference, is just taking AI and thinking that you own this art is no, that's a hard no. But you can do some, like I said, Adobe is an exception. And here's, don't forget, what you should be doing. One second, let me just share my screen again. And that is, when you have questions, just ask. And so, whoops, I'm going to Perplexity again. I tend to like Perplexity as my answer engine. And I like it for one reason, because it does a better job of giving me more updated. But if I create an image with AI, can I copyright it? And just, always just check and see. And this will do a really good job. And you can just see right there, you cannot. And there, here it is. This is right there. AI makes significant creative contributions. That's the difference. That is absolutely required. Works like, it may be using AI may be copyrighted for the selection, arrangement, or editing. So there's some exceptions there. So there's a lot more here. And like I said, my understanding is that Adobe is different. What about images using Adobe? Let me see, because it might be for Photoshop. I don't remember. Are not automatically eligible in the US unless you have the user has made it's still saying the same thing. Merely generating by inputting a prompt does not make you the copyright. So yeah, if you use Firefly, I know Firefly especially is going to be an issue, but I know that they had some tools that said that that things are safer, but but it's telling me not. So um, this is a really gray area. Use images made with, maybe this is what I'm thinking of. You can commercially use images made with Adobe Generative AI if you comply with Adobe's licensing term, but you cannot register copyright over that image. So still the same. So no copywriting, but using it commercially. So like, for example, any of these tools, using something for social media and stuff like that is absolutely fine. Making sure, if you were going to create a magazine and publish stuff, you would want to have some legal counsel on that. That would be different. And that's where we're talking about commercial use of AI images.
Hmm. Oh, there's a brief follow-up in chat. What about images generated on Canva? I'm thinking it's probably similar.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. Although so you're not going to copyright across the board is going to be an issue. And most of the stuff, why would you need to copyright anything anyways? You don't need to, unless you're an artist and you're worried about copywriting. None of us as regular business owners should be worried about that. If you are creating any AI images, you can do a check to say, what about using it for here? But I can tell you, they're designed for this, right? Canva's designed for you to be able to create images and put them in social media and stuff like that. There's not an issue with that. You don't only, it's not, this is, um, you can't do anything specifically to protect that image, like, oh, this is my image. Nobody, I'm not saying people can't. It's just um, like I said, you can't copyright it. You can't have any kind of protection but you can use it freely. You can put on your flyers, you can do a poster, you can do all of those things. Same thing with their stock images. They're images that Canva owns, and you as a Canva user have the right to use. So yeah, on both
Follow-up
counts.
to that is what about logos created specifically for your business using Canva?
Logos. Um, You could, well, first of all, one of the problems, and which one was it that offered vector art? When you create a logo, the only kind of logo you want to use is vector art. So if I create a lovely logo, and I could absolutely do that in a lot of these tools, and it's not going to give me vector art. One of them did give me the option. Was that Firefly gave me vector art, or was that Gemini? Vector art means instead of the usual, like here, this image, if I take this image, I can download this, and if I blow this up to the side of a billboard, it's going to look pixelated, because it's all going to be dot based. Vector art is different. It is based on the mathematical calculations. So if I look at an Amazon, for example, logo, there is a specific mathematical calculation that's showing that. So you can take that image and shrink it all the way down, and I can blow it up to the size of 10 billboards, and it's still going to look good. That's vector art, and that's what your logo should be made out of. So I'm trying to see which one, because I did notice one of them said vector art, and I can't recall for sure. Was that, so actually, let's just ask and see if there's anything that will let us do, will my image generator create vector art so that I can create a logo. To be honest with you, just getting something the way you want it to be is going to be hard enough. So popular AI vector, so Logo Fusion, I haven't played with this. There we go, Canva Dream Lab. Who knew? So powered by Leonardo, which is an AI tool. So you could use that. There's no reason why you couldn't. And there's Adobe Express. So I could do some things like that. The other thing that I could do is create, let's say I created an image I like, and I worked hard just to find some image I liked on my logo. And I could easily pass that to somebody who's a graphic designer who could convert it into, very cheaply for me into a vector logo. But this is a good way of checking. I think this is let's click on that. There we go, free AI logo generator. Create a logo with AI. Pretty amazing stuff. I have not tried this feature. This is I mean, Canva just keeps coming out with features like crazy. They've got so much and they're buried and you don't know what you can do. So this would be fun to try, that you could try a logo. And so obviously it sent me back to this, which means that must be where I would just say a vector logo, and it will know, or I mean, I shouldn't even say vector because all logos should be vector. So if I say I want we'll do one of my favorite things, a logo of Avo Baby and a baby food made out of avocados. I love seeing what this is. Sometimes you get prompts and things that you just love, and let's just see what I get for this. There we go. Some really cute little things. I can't tell if it's vector art. I would have to, this is going to be beyond me doing this. But but you could easily make sure it is. And if it was any problem, the other way that you can actually vectorize something is, again, like I'm able to do it through some of my Adobe suite. So if I found something I really liked, I could potentially do it. Well, again, I got some of this weirdness down here, right? And I wouldn't want that. So, but let's say I like this with this, I could clean it up and do that. And let's try it one more time and just say, I won't copy it. Vector art logo of, and I'm not sure if it's going to hold it, so I'm just going to do it again. Avo Baby. And I know we're hitting time, so a baby food made out of avocados. And let's see if that works. I don't know if it is. It's like I said, it's hard to tell, but there's some some really cute stuff. And I could download it and play around, and let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Open an editor. Because usually for vector art, you would not have a background like this. So I'm not sure what the answer is to this at this point, but if it says it does it, it should do it, right? See, but that got rid of the whole thing. That's telling me it's not vector art. If I could do that, if this is all together as one, it's not vector art. So I don't know what the answer is to that, but it's saying it does. So I'm not sure how to get that. So I would go back to Perplexity. I would say, please walk me through creating vector art logo in Canva and see if you can get it to help you do that. And always, as everybody knows, I often use more than two tools. So I might ask that also in ChatGPT at the same time or in Gemini as well as Perplexity. But I often get some of my best answers, most updated answers, because one of the other problems is that when you ask a question, there's a lot of old information out there. AI is changing so fast, so you can get old answers if you don't watch it.
All righty. So we have one more, actually another comment. So websites too, and I think this is in relation to when we were talking about copywriting images. So that if you use those images on your website, are they are they protected on the websites as well?
Yeah, there's no reason why you can't use anything like that. And just think of it this way: you can use stock image, you can use all these kind of things. It's absolutely fine to use on your website. Where it crosses the line is if you were going to A, try to claim it as your own, or B, try to put it in some publication where it's going to be hitting a lot of different things. But having it on the web, there should be no issues with that, period. I have never heard of any kind of issues. Again, and just ask AI, but that's what it's meant for. This is meant to use. It's not meant to do it so you can do pretty stuff. Again, think of a Canva. It is meant for businesses. It's meant to create images that you're going to work with.
All right. We have one last question in the chat. Can you register the image as a trademark if it cannot be copyrighted? This is important as a part of business IP.
It's going to be the same thing. If
Mhm.
you can't have any legal protection against something that's purely AI generated. And again, you could ask this to Perplexity, but it's you know all of this is called intellectual property. The keyword there is property. Is it your property? It is not your property if it is just fully AI generated. But if you take something and you create, and you do some work with it, you could argue it is. The other thing is, again, and like I said with logos, let's say I took that last Avo baby that I liked, and I had that, I gave that to somebody to create to me and for me in vector art and everything like that. Is that, can that be trademarked? Yeah, very possibly. That's a different thing. So that's where, the line starts coming in, where's the is it mine? Is it AI generated? So I just have to make sure it's truly mine.
All right. So that is it for the questions. We are at time, folks. We do want to thank you all for being with us this evening. We have a couple more sessions left. We are looking forward to having you guys for each of the next couple of sessions. You will receive a copy of the recording as well as the handout and a follow-up email. And I also want to thank Kathy again for being with us, sharing her expertise. Always an excellent job, Kathy, and always great information. And folks, you will receive a link to our YouTube that we're housing some of the past sessions. So you'll receive that link so you can watch if you happen to have missed any sessions or want to rewatch some of the sessions, we'll get that to you guys as well.
And
All
then
right.
next we have video next, and then the last one is going to be on financial analysis. So anyways, this will be a great next sessions. So thank you, Joseph.
Definitely. All right. Thanks, everyone. You guys have a great evening. We're going to see you next week. All right. Have a good one.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.